to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. Today, our special guest is comedian and friend to the show and lifelong Raptors fan. It's Jordan Foisy. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you back. There we go. We can see your whole face now.
Yeah.
That's lovely. We're gonna do.
I have terrible Zoom manners, by the way. I'm doing pretty well right now. Like at work, we're always in like Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
And like my buddy sent me a picture of what it's like being, and you can just see the top of my head. Like that's it. And then it's like all roof above me.
Yeah, I've had to get better with it myself. I have so I don't typically like wear makeup every day. Like I just kind of do it when I feel like it. But I have this like Zoom like lip gloss. So I wear no makeup except for this one lip gloss. And that's it.
That's so funny. Hey, Cathryn, have you ever gotten a ring light or something? No, just a lip gloss.
No, just just a lip gloss.
It's not about like doing a home studio or something.
Yeah,
no, but I have this lip gloss that really pops.
I do. I feel like my whole face just looks more awake somehow.
I would have thought you were wearing more than just lip gloss.
Thank you. See, yeah. But it's just the lip gloss. And then in person, I feel like this shade doesn't suit me.
It's just
it's just on Zoom. I feel like the shade really works. In person, I feel like it's maybe a bit too dark. It's like it's got cinnamons on it.
Ooh, okay,
like cinnamon buns.
Is that what color it is? Is that like
I think that that's what inspired. Yeah, the color is called cinnamon bun.
Wow, we've gone full wow.
Right?
You know
so it's cute. It's fun. It's a fun time.
I don't know if I ever would have wanted my lips to look cinnamon bun, but now that I've seen, like, just if I had to, if that product didn't exist and I'm just imagining like what that color is, I'm like, I don't know if I want to look cinnamon bun-y.
Yeah,
cinnamon, I get cinnamon bun. I don't know. Anyways,
well, you know what? It's not everyone's shade. It's barely my shade. So, it's fine. It was on sale. I went for it, and now it's my Zoom lip gloss. That's how I roll.
You never know.
Yeah, and then the other thing with like using StreamYard is that there's this like mirror effect on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have to like reverse part my hair so I feel normal.
Oh yes. Okay, so I have something like that where my neck's always slightly tilted to one side, and then I try to like even my head, but then because it's mirror, I like.
You tilt it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because
I fuck like I'm doing it right now. Oh, it's maddening. It'll drive me insane.
Yeah. I don't know how to change it either.
What a world.
What a world. So this week we're gonna do the big playoff preview for the first round of the NBA playoffs. We're recording this on Friday the 15th. So most of the play-in has happened, but the rest of it is happening later tonight. And we're going to start with the Western Conference, move into the Eastern Conference. Then we're going to talk all about the Raptors and a few other fun Raptor Homer moments before we wrap up the episode. So let's start off with the play-in that happened this past week. We've got Clippers and Pelicans happening later tonight. I was a little surprised that Minnesota took that game, but honestly, it was so worth it.
Oh, I loved it.
Were you pro celebration or no?
Of course.
Loved it. You loved like that they were celebrating like they won the championship.
I just don't. It's just fun. It's just fun.
Yes, it is fun. No one's saying it isn't fun.
Yeah.
But were you at any point like, what the hell?
Well, just think about how great it's going to be if they win the championship. That's what they like. People are looking at it the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, like, think about how entertaining the Wolves were when they won a play-in game. If they win one game in the first round of the playoffs, it's going to be amazing. They're going to like Patrick Beverley's going to have his own. Patrick Beverley's going to build his own T-shirt gun in his house, a DIY T-shirt gun. Bring it to every game and just start hucking them out into the like.
I don't know. I'm borderline afraid if Patrick Beverley wins a championship. He needs to get. I think if they're playing in a championship game, they need to give the first like 20 rows like little like what are they called? Oh, like
splash zone shit?
Yeah, like splash zone. Like I almost used the word shawl.
No, those get wet.
Like a poncho, a plastic poncho. They need to give everyone a plastic poncho, like a rain poncho, just in case. We don't know what Patrick Beverley is going to do.
That's true. But also think about how much shit he's going to talk.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
I feel like I went on a journey with it. Like I went from this is ridiculous to I'm wrong for thinking that they're being ridiculous. They should have their fun. And now I'm all the way back again. I'm like, you know what? It's so silly.
You don't like it.
I won't say I don't like it, but come on, it's a bit much. And I say this because I remember last year in the playoffs when the Phoenix Sun made it to the finals. Mm-hmm. So they were Western Conference champions and they started parading their Western Conference champion trophy all around town. Like there's videos of like Devin Booker sitting on like the roof of a car, like through a sunroof and like holding the thing and like waving at people. And the second I saw that, I was like, they're not going to win.
Yeah, though for some reason I find that almost sillier. There's something with the playing game too, where it's like it builds up so much. It's like its own little championship too. I think that's also why. Like it's one game. Yeah. Stakes are really high. Your whole season kind of depends on it. You know what I mean? If the Cavs don't make it, which I don't think they will, their season kind of sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait, you mean the Cavs season? Sorry, I missed part.
Like just like all these teams, like when you're in the playing game, that's going to be the most important game of your fucking season. That is your championship, because more than likely you're going to get stomped in the first round.
In terms of that,
brutally eliminated. Like, so you might as well like enjoy what's going to be probably the highlight of your season, because what's next is the low light when you lose, when you get smoked in Game 6 or whatever by whatever team they end up playing, by the Grizzlies or something like.
Yeah.
They need to lose as loud as they won. I want a crazy losing celebration too.
Okay, well, you know what? I mean, that actually brings us to Memphis, Minnesota first. Okay, why don't we do that series first? Because I think it's going to be Memphis in 5, maybe 6 games.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. But I think it's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be awesome. I was actually like, I'm not a big Patrick Beverley person. Mm-hmm. So this is the one time I've ever rooted for him. And I was rooting for him to win this game so they could face Memphis, because I was like, that is a much better matchup just as a fan than them against the Phoenix Suns. And so tonight I'm rooting for the Clippers because I think Clippers and Suns is going to be a much better matchup than them versus the Pelicans.
No Paul George. It's over.
What do you mean no Paul George?
He's not playing.
Paul George isn't playing tonight?
He has COVID.
Are you serious?
I'm breaking news.
Because you're the type of person that would just say that to mess with me.
No, I'm not a liar.
Yeah, I feel like you would.
No, I wouldn't. That's not what I'm like at all.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But you know what? But you could. I feel like you could. You could. Yeah, he's out. Wow.
That's not really the way. Yeah, that sucks. I'm actually, knock on wood, this is one thing I've been secretly worried about, is because you watch the NBA, they kind of preceded their last wave of COVID. Like you could tell the last wave of COVID was ending because it ended in the NBA like 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
Like a little bit. Like
it's true. The NBA is my barometer for COVID waves.
Yeah. It's like kind of horrifying, but it's because it's like a relatively large sample size that's heavily tested. So it's like, so
they travel so much.
They travel so much, so they kind of represent. It's a good like representative body. But so I've been worried where I'm like, so when's this other wave that's happening now going to hit the NBA? And hopefully this isn't it. So anyways,
hopefully this isn't it.
Bit of a bummer. That being said, I like the Pelicans anyways. I'm like, I want the Clippers to just take a nap. There's too much drama. I want them to just kind of Go back home, get Kawhi back. Just think about the season. Just luxuriate in being kind of old dudes, and then just like come back and like smash everybody. Like I like what they're doing. I think they're fun, but it's just kind of like I don't want this like zombie Clippers team. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like it's like boring and kind of.
Well, shitty. I think the Clippers like Homer base was like hoping for some sort of Kawhi return, which I don't think is going to happen. No, I mean, Kawhi, even if Paul George was healthy, like I didn't think that was going to happen.
Kawhi has COVID too.
Are you serious? No. See, okay, that proves my point. That proves my point. Oh my god, that proves my point. But yeah, so I guess it's going to be, Pelicans Suns, and I'm going to predict a sweep on that.
Oh my god, it's gonna be crazy. But I will say this: I have really enjoyed the CJ McCollum show.
Yes,
he's such a fun scorer to watch, and
he's the best thing to happen to that team in a minute.
Yeah, it's like a different thing, and it's also fun watching him and Dame not be on the same team. Like I'm excited to see Dame without CJ because it's just like. You can't just have two small guards who can't play defense. It's like, that's pretty rough.
Did you see the clip of Zion doing a 360 dunk?
I did, yeah.
Why? Like, if you're the Pelicans, it's like, why are you even letting that circulate?
No, they love
what I mean?
They want that shit out there.
Like, hey, look, he can play, except he won't.
No, they want him dunking because it keeps the experience alive. He's going to play next season for them, I bet.
I hope so. For their sake, I really hope so.
He totally is.
Last thing I want to say on the Clippers is I was watching a Bill Simmons clip earlier, maybe because I don't love myself. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But they were doing this entire like, was it worth it segment on the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George, and I was like, it is way too early for that. Do you think it's not worth it? They were saying that it is.
I mean, they haven't won anything, so it's just gonna be weird. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the best. Like, was what worth it? Like doing it or the trade?
Yeah, making the trade.
I mean, I guess
they gave up a lot of other assets, right? Yeah, like SGA and a bunch of other people.
Because here's the thing, they've been more relevant than ever. Doing the trade is worth it. Yeah, I would say the trade is worth it at the end of the day. Like, Shea's obviously pretty awesome. I would literally trade anyone currently on the Raptors for him.
Really?
Maybe. I think he's awesome.
Pardon the pun, but that's a spicy take.
It is a spicy take. Not that I would want to. I don't know. A bit of the homer.
He's great though.
To have like somebody from, I guess from Hamilton.
Yes, he's from Hamilton.
To have somebody from nearby and who's like fucking sick, that'd be pretty cool. But also, I do love the Raptors. But
no, I'm very big on SGA, so I understand.
So, but that being said, the Clippers have been they're always talked about. There's always a chance they're going to win as long as Kawhi doesn't have one of his mysterious body ailments.
Yeah, I think this Western Conference play-in and into the playoffs just with the Clippers and Pelicans is a bit anticlimactic because I do think that if the Clippers actually win tonight, that's going to be interesting because Paul George would be back eventually if he's only out for COVID. Yeah, and then I think that actually makes that 1-8 matchup a little more interesting, where I really do think the Pelicans will get swept.
I take back what I said earlier. I think I agree with all that, and also I think the Clippers still can win. They can still
win tonight. Yeah,
they're going to be on their home court. They're really well coached. They play really good defense. They've
had a really good season, all things considered, right?
Yeah. They can definitely beat the Pelicans at home.
Yeah.
The Pelicans are 10 games under 500.
The last thing I want to say about Minnesota, because we've really kind of bounced back and forth because of playing, but whatever, that's fine. This is a meandering podcast.
Sorry, it's my fault.
No, it's probably my fault. I'm literally the host anyway. The protester.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. So she tried to glue her wrists to the court in protest of the Minnesota Timberwolves owner, who owns an egg farm.
Yeah.
And they had to kill a bunch of chickens because there was a bird flu on the farm.
Wait, that specifically is what she was protesting?
Yes.
I mean,
I have a lot to say about this.
That's
because
pretty funny.
I think we as a society should care more about factory farms than we do.
Yeah,
generally speaking. So like, I think like
it's one of the historical. It's going to be like in the future. We're going to be like, I mean, if we
it's so horrible.
We're going to be like, we did what? That's sickening.
Yeah. So the general outrage I get, but and this is just my opinion. If there's a bird flu, on your farm, you have to kill the chickens.
Yeah,
because
but
we do not need another human pandemic. That is
I don't
exactly what you have to do.
I don't need you. Got to kill those chickens because I don't need Paul George missing any other playing games.
Imagine Karl Anthony Towns. How heartbreaking would that be? He's out with the bird flu.
Well, yeah, but also, and Karl Anthony Towns has been through so much.
Well, this is my point.
We can't
and that would be a close contact situation.
I went through the exact same thought where I was like, you know what? I can't really blame somebody for protesting like factory farming amongst many, many other things worth protesting. But then I'm like, specifically killing chickens in a bird flu outbreak? I'm like, yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah, you have to. Also, like, glue was made out of animal bones.
Well, she probably got vegan glue.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why it didn't work, right?
Damn, I really should have got some hooves in there.
God. Anyway, I just had to remark on that because I thought that was really wild. Okay, so
wait, are we not gonna? Okay, are we still on Memphis and?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say to recap. I'm gonna say I have to decide between whether I think it's Memphis in 5 or Memphis in 6. I'm gonna say Memphis in 6 because I think they do have a lot of like positive momentum going for them right now. But I think Memphis is just so good.
Yeah, I think I'm interested. I guess the big question. Yeah, I mean the big question is Anthony Edwards. I think. Because it's like he looked pretty unstoppable in that last game against a pretty good defensive team. And it's like, yeah, I mean, okay. But I do think Memphis will win overall. I do think Memphis will win, but Minnesota has some wild cards because they have like okay, so if Ja's the best player in the series, who's is the second best? Anthony, it could be Cat. It should be Cat, but it might not be.
I don't know. I don't know if he is.
Because he was terrible.
I will say this, and we're about to bring a spontaneous new guest into the show.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to say this as we bring Freddie Rivas on here. Yes. I think the Dylan Brooks versus Patrick Beverley matchup in that series is going to be the thing to watch. Before we go any further, Freddie Rivas, welcome to the middle of our pod, buddy.
Hey.
Wow. Hey, Freddie.
Let me just say right off the bat, I hope Cathryn's already apologized to you, Jordan. We were all so wrong about Pat Bev.
Dude, I can't believe you brought this up because I was just about to bring this up because we're talking about Minnesota right now.
It was the three of us, I think.
Yeah.
And we shouted you down. You were like, what about Pat Bev and Minnie? And we were like, what about you getting out of our face?
You mean on your pod like a few months ago?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
I was like, Pat Bev's going to make that team better.
I probably did shut you down for that. That sounds accurate.
Oh, I was so team. We both.
I was so happy when Patrick Beverley was sent to Minnesota because in my mind I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna have to see him this season. That's so great." And now we've just spent the first like 20 minutes of this podcast like basically talking about him.
Pulled it off.
And he also got traded to Memphis, and Memphis fully just discarded him.
Yeah, that's right.
They're like, we don't want. Our whole team's better than you. No thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think with him though, I think it makes sense to be like I wouldn't understand why Memphis wouldn't want him. You know what I mean? Like, because they don't really need that. But if you're like a team that doesn't have an ounce of like kind of like competitiveness, it seems like he helps.
I agree. I mean, they have Dylan Brooks, they have Steven Adams, like they have that brute toughness on their team.
Jaws like that. Jaws like fucking crazy tough. He like a crazy competitor. They don't really need that.
I think like I'm sure Patrick Beverley will take it personally because that's who he is. Mm-hmm. But this is the one thing where I'm like, you really should be taking that personally. But he'll use anything like as fuel, right?
Oh yeah, Beverley and Dylan Brooks. I know I came in hearing you guys talking about this. Those two are gonna like fall down a flight of stairs.
There's gonna be a like 3 game lengths worth of them going like this to each other, just like hard claps. It's gonna.
This is a weird reference, but there's this like crazy fight scene in that old Western show Deadwood, where like 2 of the main characters like fall off of a balcony and they're like both like badly hurt. But it's sort of like good fight, bros. That's what's gonna happen here. Just like they're both gonna have a torn ACL. Okay.
First of all, shout out to anyone who gets Freddie's a Deadwood reference. Yeah. Good for you. Kudos. We have spent a lot of time talking about this, so we got to move on. But Freddie, real quick,
can I ask one more question about Minnesota and
of course.
Minnesota?
Of course.
It doesn't have to take long because pure being a hater, but. Was that game by Cat like the worst game anyone that good has ever played?
Oh, know what? We should be talking about this. I take everything back.
That was crazy.
It was really
he was fouled out of the game with 7 minutes something left.
And every time he had the ball, it was like, and when you knew he was going to foul out. Like as soon as he got that like third one, you're like, this guy's going to fucking foul out.
Yeah.
And every time he had the ball, you're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? It was like crazy. He was so shaky.
Man, it's good that you said like worst game by a good player because he's like a deserving whatever it is second all team NBA.
Yeah, he's awesome
this year. And I don't know. I think there's a thing in a lot of sports, but I see it in basketball all the time where it's almost like people feel like really good players are immune to like mental fatigue and mental defeat. Right. You look at a guy like LeBron and Harden, like they're chokers or Chris Paul or whatever. And it's like, no, sometimes you get mentally defeated. And cause I was watching like when Cat came back, when Cat came back, sorry, I'm coming in hot. It's been a windy day. You know what I mean?
You know what's so funny? When you said that, I just nodded. I'm like, this is great analysis.
Like this guy's sick. No, but like Cat came back and like they showed some of the fouls that he got and his like foul out moment of the game was such an obvious over the back.
Oh yeah.
And it's like there was like a weight lifted off of Minnie when he got eliminated. Like, great. Now there's no more distractions and we can beat this team.
Yes.
And it was so strange. And I don't think that necessarily like portends to the next series though. So that's my take.
Yeah, like it could go either way. Like I want to be surprised. I think it could go either way. Right now I lean toward him playing well the next series. But also
I think it'll be inconsistent. Which I don't mean to take like the middle road here, but I really do. Because I think he doesn't really have the experience. And there's literally Patrick Beverley, one of the only people with like significant playoff experiences on the team. And he does not have emotional composure. So it's like you're not really getting that specific type of leadership from him that other younger players do get from their veterans in a playoff scenario.
Sure, he gets you really riled up, or like another vet would be like, hey man, just relax.
Yeah, like he doesn't have that veteran with the experience, with the calming presence that you need in the playoffs. So I could see it being really up and down with him. And I don't know, like maybe he just like in the future just needs like a really solid like meditation app or something, right?
He needs the Boucher like pregame treatment.
Yeah, really though.
Yeah.
And I feel like Pat Bev is like, hey Kat, you're having a rough game. Do you want me to call the same guy that they used on Tanya Harding? Like just smack that guy's knee with a billy club? Like,
oh yeah, he's amping it up.
Like, yeah, he's out of retirement now. He's got those crowbars ready to go.
There was this part where Cat was coming down the court and Morris like bumped him, and it was a pretty hard bump. Like he had his head back at the ball. Morris was right there and just kind of bumped him, and it definitely could have been a foul. And then he kind of bumped him again, and you could see Cat look at the ref immediately, and the ref didn't do anything. And then he got pissed, and that was right before he did that fucking crazy offensive foul where he just like rampaged through the whole team. Like it was truly like they got him so pissed off, and then he couldn't handle it. Anyways.
Yeah, he lost composure.
So Grizz in 5.
You're saying Grizz in 5. I'm saying Grizz in 6. Freddie, what are your picks?
Let me go. Grizz in 7.
Grizz in 7. Oh, wow. All right.
One of my weirdest like gut feeling takes of this playoffs is that it's going to be the official like announcement of Ant-Man.
Oh, that's
he's
fun.
just gonna dunk on people,
and it's just gonna be this like feel good series, like we're announcing we've arrived type situation.
He's gonna be like, remember, I'm a number 1 pick. I'm crazy.
That's
he's also really good too.
He's amazing. That's what I was saying. I was saying to Cathryn, where it's like, okay, if Ja's the best player, there's a chance Ant-Man's the second best player in the series, and like we find that out by the end of the series, where it's like, holy shit, this guy's crazy.
And it's crazy that we're all in agreement that we're just like casually disrespecting Towns, but he did that game look rough, and like
he did that to himself. I don't think we're being egregious here.
And then Ant-Man hit a fucking step back 3 over Paul George to seal it. Like that was crazy.
Yeah,
I should have just made this entire episode about the Timberwolves.
Sorry, let's keep moving.
No,
it's just the game. It was a great game.
It was a great game. It really was.
Yeah,
it
best
really
play-in
was.
game for sure.
Yeah, and it deserves its time in the spotlight. Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about 2 teams I don't care about, but there's some interesting things happening here. The Mavericks and the Jazz. This is a very intriguing series to me because there's kind of 2 narratives here. One is about Luka's health. Will he be well enough to play or not? That has not been announced as of the time of this recording. He does have a calf injury. And they're saying it's not serious, but whether they bring him back or not and try and risk that, we're not sure. And then the other thing is the Jazz. And there's been several media outlets reporting that this team is going to blow up at the end of this playoff series. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert just don't play well enough together, or they don't. There's rumors that they don't get along, but then Quinn Snyder was like, yeah, man, they pass the ball to each other. They even have meals together from time to time. I mean, there's rumors that Quinn Snyder is going to join the Lakers. That came out before Frank Vogel was even fired, but that's a whole other scenario. So, yeah, this series, if you just looked at the teams and the stats, would be pretty boring. But there's some interesting storylines here. Freddie, go first. What do you think?
Like who am I predicting? Or are we going to say
yeah, or just what do you think generally?
Okay, well, yeah, I you know what? I don't even know why I asked, because I'll start with my prediction. Jazz in 6. I think the Jazz have been like kind of, it's like this to me is like a classic regular season can be misleading thing where the Jazz have been playing bad, but at all sorts of different points of the regular season, they were an incredible team. At one point, they had like a historic offense. I do think, oddly enough, like we're talking about like different role players, I think they will miss Joe Ingles. As far as just this like every, whatever. But this like everyman type of guy. I think Jason Kidd's going to get out coached. I think that if Doncic misses 2 games, that's massive. And I think we're going to see some Luka magic, but I also feel like what we've seen so far from Mitchell in the playoffs is that he's like out of control good. So I think, maybe everyone will be focusing on Gobert, but that probably won't be the main story.
I think it'll be Mitchell.
I don't think Mitchell's going to like outperform Luka necessarily. I think the Jazz, I've been through a lot in the playoffs, and I don't know if they're going to carry like all that stress into this first round. And I feel like Dallas isn't like so strong without Luka doing insane stuff. Like, I don't know if Dinwiddie's going to like pop in there and be like, I got this.
Right.
Like, I think he'll be fine, but
Jordan, what do you think?
I mean, if Luka comes back, by game 3. I think they beat them in game 6. And if Luka plays, I think they're going to smoke the Jazz.
Hey, fair enough.
I got the if Luka's back, I think they. Right. I was looking forward to this like, but I do like your point, Freddie, that maybe that's like they are a team where it's like, all right, we're in the playoffs, let's just fucking focus. They're all healthy for the first time, the Jazz. But I did think, I was like, Luka's going to kill the Jazz and we will all be free of the Jazz. Like we can stop fucking talking about the fucking Jazz. You know what I mean? Like
that's right.
Luka's gonna destroy this team.
No more off rhythm music for us.
Yeah.
We want straightforward melodies.
Oh yeah. It's taking he's gonna kill them so bad it affects actual jazz.
No more musical improv. Yeah. Here's my little hot take. I don't think it is in the best interest of the Mavericks to bring back Luka. And I say that because this calf injury very much reminds me of Kevin Durant 2019. You know, they were like, oh, it's not too serious. He could come back in a week or two. They kind of rush him back in, and then it's his Achilles. Like, I think this is the kind of injury where if like you rush somebody back, it could lead to a much larger injury. And then if something like that happened and he was suddenly out for a year, it's not worth it for them. Like, I know they're probably tired of being out in the first round, but to me, I'm like, why would you rush it for this year, for this season, when the odds of you getting out of the second round aren't even necessarily that great, depending on how it matches up. I haven't looked to see who they'd be against, but
I think they think they can win it all.
Yeah, like that's the danger. I think they think it would be worth it to bring Luka back early, but I don't think it is.
I can see it. They'd be like a sleeper for sure to go to the championship.
You think
that Dallas team was fucking good in the regular season. When they like figured it out by the end, they were like they smoked the Bucks.
Yep. And they had an incredible defense too.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm just saying, like,
you're right. Like,
is it worth it to bring back Luka? I'm the only person saying this. Like, I have not heard any other pundits like say this right now. But I was just thinking, like, oh man, like Kevin Durant had a calf injury, and it turned into an Achilles because they rushed him back because it's the playoffs. So, I mean, at least in that scenario, it was the finals. But still, I'm just like, ugh, it makes me a little anxious for them. I do think if he's there, it swings the series. I think if he's there, I could go Mavericks in 6 if he's healthy. But if he's not healthy, then I think the Jazz take it. And then maybe I'll say also in 6. But my other hot take is that even if the Jazz lose in the second round, they're still blowing it up.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I mean, I think the Jazz sort of have to make like a really deep run here.
They would have to at least make the Western Conference Finals for them to keep it together. Yeah.
Just because, like what's going on with Snyder, obviously the Gobert and Mitchell relationship. And on top of that, Conley's not young, you know what I mean? So, but I just looked and it says that Mitchell's day to day. So that sort of affects my take. I kind of thought that like the Jazz had gotten fully healthy, but
Mitchell's hurt? What the fuck?
I don't know. Day to day in the playoffs is weird too. Because it's like everyone's day to day kind of. Yeah. So I don't know.
That also affects my take greatly. If he's not there, then the Mavericks will win. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the Warriors and the Nuggets. I was predicting that this could be a potential first round upset if Steph Curry was still injured, but they've reported that he's expected to be back. So he's playing in this series. And I think for me, that really changes things. Klay Thompson in the last stretch there before the end of the regular season really started to look like old Klay Thompson again. Like it took him a few months to kind of play back into the shape that he once was. And I feel like he's there. Draymond's healthy. They haven't had a lot of time, the three of them together, but they have that history and I feel like they'll find their way. And I think Jokic is amazing. I do think he's the MVP this season, but I don't I don't know. I'm a big believer in this Warriors team. That's just me. I think they have so much depth. I don't know. I really like this Warriors team this year. Jordan, jump in. What do you think?
I think this is my pick for sneaky best series.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be awesome. I think it could be like awesome because whenever they play in the regular season, they were really close games.
It's gonna be dope.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be like because it's also like Denver's defense is like not the best, so you're gonna see like beautiful Warriors like basketball.
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be like, and then on the other end, just watching Jokic go against like a Draymond Green led defense is gonna be like so fun. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's my choice, and then I think the Warriors win in 6 games.
That's fair.
All that being said.
I mean, yeah, like I think so much hangs on like how good Steph is going to be coming back from this injury. Like if he's not 100%, then I think because without him, I was calling upset in this.
Oh, without him, they will beat them for sure.
Yeah, but if he's there, Steph Curry hasn't skipped a beat, then I absolutely think the Warriors take it. I'm not 100% if I'm saying in 6 or in 7 just yet. So Freddie, tell us what you think, and I'm going to make up my mind between 6 games or 7 games.
I'm going Warriors in 7. I think I don't think the Nuggets can really play a playoff series that doesn't go to 7 games. Good deal, man.
It's true. It's true. They know they don't have. It's not like it doesn't have to be 7, right? Like, has anyone told them
that it does for them. If you talk to Mike Malone, he's like, "I'm the real Eminem." Yeah. First of all, second of all, I go 7 games or none.
Do you really? Do we? Okay, what's the over under on Mike Malone looking at himself in the mirror and saying to himself, "I'm the real Eminem"? Do we think this is a thing? Do you think this is a thing?
I'm sure he says I'm the real.
It's not
Slim
an over
Shady,
under,
but the over under I'd say 100 times a day.
Yeah.
No, I mean this series is gonna be crazy. Like these are super talented teams. The Warriors, I'm like halfway between being like a believer in what they can do and then just not sure about Draymond's capabilities or injuries. And I think Klay looks great. Steph also, like every time Steph is lost in the playoffs, he's had some kind of ankle injury. People forget that like early in Steph's career, that's sort of like that's the only thing that really slowed him down. That's how the Warriors kind of were able to sign him for less than the max at whatever point that was, and build the crazy like Warriors dynasty. Steph, like when he doesn't have a sprained ankle, is like unfair. But when he does have a sprained ankle, it's like, oh, what's going to happen here? You know, like, it's nuts. But it's like I don't know. It's I guess how he moves.
Funny. It's true. There's 2 Steph Currys. Yeah, and because he is always like, there's so much like juking with him. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that does it.
But yeah, I like the Warriors role players are good too.
That's a fun word. Juking.
Yeah, it's like in football when we
I think
out of a tackle.
Clearly the separation here is me and Jordan have played a lot of Madden. NFL. And perhaps you.
Oh, is that where that word comes from?
Yeah,
I was like, I've never heard this word before.
I
thought Foisy was like making up
too
words.
much, you go out of bounds.
Oh
yeah,
my God,
I over-juked in Madden.
Sir, we're gonna ask you to leave the bank.
You can't juke in here, sir.
But that series is definitely like one of those. Like, oh man, is that really a first round? Because and it's also sort of like, oh man, that sucks because like how close is Murray and Porter Jr. to coming back? And like those are 2 guys I hope nobody rushes their star back. Like we should be at that point in the NBA. I get that it's the playoffs, but
it's also such a bummer how we literally have had to say that about every series.
Yeah.
Depending on if they get back. Like
it's true.
There's so many series where
it's a marathon. Like I don't know who's fully healthy. Like I feel like Milwaukee's looking pretty good right now, but yeah, I don't know who else is
Raps.
Raptors are pretty, but like how injured is Fred and what's
That's
up
true,
with
actually.
like
I think the Suns are healthy
OG's
right
hammy
now
and finger. Yep,
because Chris
Suns.
Paul's back. All right, I'm gonna say 7. I'm gonna say Warriors in 7. And I'm really looking forward to that series. Okay, let's move on to the East. So Freddie, we have not talked Eastern Conference play in yet. We've got the Cavs and the Hawks coming up later tonight. I'm picking the Hawks. I really want the Hawks to win this. I think they're
gonna destroy them.
Yeah, I just they don't have Jason Collins right now. Well, they didn't the other game. I haven't checked to see if he's back for this one. I don't think he is. But and I don't know if Jared Allen's coming back for the Cavs. I'm unprofessional. I really should do this.
He's 50-50, I heard.
He's 50-50. But again, are they gonna rush him back for this? Oh, it makes me so
He's just a finger though. He's just a finger.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's just fractured finger for him.
Yeah.
He's more than just a finger, Jordan.
Ladies and gentlemen, your starting center, the big finger.
Oh God, you guys really saved me out of that one right now. Okay,
I feel bad for the Cavs. It's sad. I fucking love Garland. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Garland's amazing.
Garland rocks. He's
also
so
like
good.
shout out JB Bickerstaff. He's like the forever interim coach, and he was awesome this year. I know they finished in 8th. I don't care. He did a great.
I agree. He was awesome this year. I think like
he was always the guy they hired when they fired their guy.
Yeah, and then they're like,
but
"Don't worry, we'll fire you soon enough, sir. We're just finding anybody else."
Yeah, like the Cavs being an 8th isn't their fault at all. It's just Jarrett broke his finger on Precious
and Sexton, right? Like year-long injury, like
yeah.
But remember that game? It was like Cavs.
Yeah.
Raptors.
I know
the Raptors were real bad on the All-Star break. And then they were playing, and it was a brutal game. But the seeds of us getting into the playoffs were sown.
That makes us the real villains of the playoffs, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm just rooting for the Hawks because I just think they're going to be more entertaining in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, they're good. They shouldn't be in 9th or whatever. They're like pretty good now. They figured it out.
Yeah, they figured things. We were saying the same thing about them a year ago. It's like, oh yeah, they figured things out now.
I think they smoke the Cavs and then they scare the Heat pretty bad. I think it's like
Me too.
I think it's gonna be tough first round, Hawks, and I think it looks like oh, this is like more like 4 or 5 battle. This is gonna be like, I think it's like Heat and 7.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think the Heat are very scarable. I don't know how beatable they are, but I feel like they don't have a lot of top tier talent.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously Bam and Butler are fantastic players, but I don't really think that they like put the fear of God into anybody. And I think Lowry obviously is like just an incredible game manager, and that to me is probably the difference in that series. But
yeah,
so I know we're jumping.
Well,
ahead.
Certainly not putting the fear in God in Trae Young. You know what I mean? Like I think he's proven that it takes a lot for him to not show up for a big moment.
Best player series, like Trae, best player in the series, probably. Maybe his defense.
It's pretty tight. I like Bam's got to be there. You know, I like Butler's got to be there too.
Yeah, but I think if I was drafting, I would pick Trae over Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, yeah, like right
today.
Yeah. But we'll see. Also, playoff Butlers.
Also, the Cavs could pull off a hell of a surprise, but I think
Darius Garland could go.
But
crazy.
If Jared Allen isn't back, I mean, maybe he is back. If Jared Allen is back, Miami Cavs series could be a real surprise.
Could be fun.
That could be really fun too.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think it's going to go 7 games. It might go 7 games with a healthy Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it can go 7 games either way. That one at this current moment is too hard to predict, but I'm going to say 7. I'm going to go on a limb and say 7 games for both fucking teams.
Wow.
If the Cavs are healthy.
That's the most like declarative, like fucking, I'm just going to say this. I think both teams are going to win.
Oh, you know what I mean? I think whoever wins tonight is going to push the Heat.
Let me just say, I think both teams are going to win, and the actual winner is going to win in a lawsuit or a settlement.
Oh my God. Take the wind out of my sails.
Sorry, Cathryn.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. Freddie, Jordan, have you made a pick yet?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Hawks, and then the Hawks will scare the Heat.
So you're picking Heat in 7 in the first round too. All right. That's cool.
I think I'm the exact same. And if the Cleveland does make it, I think Heat in 6 for that one.
Right. Okay, cool. Let's move on to what is going to be a bit of a blockbuster series, I think. The Celtics and the Nets.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I actually am personally finding this difficult to predict. Honestly, I'm finding it hard to predict. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but I think this is going to be like must-see TV for sure. For me, as a Raptors fans, both these teams are villains. So I'm not like, I don't feel an emotional pull one way or the other. I could easily see this going 7 games. And I'm tempted to pick I'm tempted to pick Nets in 7. Because I just think if I think the series is going to go long, and I've got Kevin Durant in a game 7, even though, he lost that one against the Bucks with the toe on the line, but I feel like it's hard for me to bet against that guy in a game 7. And frankly, even Kyrie, I mean, he's obviously shown up in a game 7 pretty iconically himself. So I don't know. I'm a bit torn on this because I feel like the Celtics really found themselves in the second half of the season and really went for it here. Obviously, Tatum's great. He's had 50-point performances in the playoffs himself. So I'm not afraid of this team not showing up or anything. This one's really tough to call, but at this moment, I'm tempted to say Nets in 7.
Oh.
But I think it's in a weird way. It feels like an upset no matter which way you go. Because even if you say Celtics in 7, the Nets to be out in the first round still feels like an upset to me.
Yeah. I think the one thing about this Nets team compared to last year is that they just had more big bodies. You know what I mean? Like they had Jeff Green, they had Blake Griffin, and Griffin could play. And so the thing about this Nets team right now, it's like they're just really small. And so it's like it's going to be so much harder for KD. Like KD's going to have to like play defense against like I know they have Kyrie the whole time. I suppose they didn't last year, but I don't know. They can't play defense, and they're like so small, and like either Jalen or Tatum is going to have like a littler guy on them like the whole fucking series. So this is my concern.
This the series where for the second time Daniel Tice also looks like an all-star again?
Yes,
maybe.
Yes. Tice is going to be huge.
I think that was also with the both of you where I was talking about how Nick Nurse made Daniel Tice look like an all-star.
He really did.
Yeah, I think Tice will be good. I think the loss of Robert Williams is not. It's tough, but I don't think it's as big as everyone thought it was. This is my hot take about Boston.
So you think Boston's going to win?
I think Boston's going to win. Yeah.
I mean, I think I think there's an argument to be made that maybe they deserve to win because they've shown up all year.
And when they do win,
they have karma on
their side. You're gonna look at center court, and Kyrie will have become the leprechaun logo.
Oh God!
Like he'll be trapped in the court forever.
Yeah,
I love that.
It'll just be Kyrie.
Honestly, you're swaying me a bit. You're swaying me a bit. Honestly,
it's like. What just happened? There's a ball of sage and no one can see through it.
And no one can remember Kyrie. He's just trapped in the thing.
I'm gonna go Boston in 6. And it's not to disparage KD or Kyrie because I think they're gonna be brilliant. I just think that this is anecdotal, but I went to the Raptors game, the Raptors Celtics game, with no Brown and no Tatum.
Yeah,
and I was just kind of like,
they were incredible.
Damn, this whole team's good. Like
I was like, the Raptors fans are way too excited about that win. Like the fact that went to overtime without their top 4 players.
They did it to the Bucks a couple games later. Like they played similar, like no stars, and it was the same bench. And I think it was the same thing. The Bucks like barely beat. The Celtics are so well coached. Like they're like
I also
insanely good.
I'm starting to sway here.
Everyone's so well rounded on the Celtics. I mean, like I think the Nets, you just like you can't discount players that good. Plus Seth Curry, but I also feel like a guy like Drummond is going to get played off the court real quick.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, he'll be a problem. Then they'll be like bringing in Claxton. And then it's like, oh, he can't do anything either.
Oh, I'm going to call that Claxton plays more minutes than Drummond.
Right? Oh, yeah. And I think that, I mean, I think the book's still out on Nash as a, like what he can do as a head coach. Like, can he coach up the guys around them? Like, will Bruce Brown be good?
I think he'll be good, but we're going to see a lot of heroic Bruce Brown offensive possessions. And that's not what you want to see. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be like, oh, like last second heave, not last second, but it'll be like Bruce Brown's going to have the ball with like a minute to go. And he's going to try to have to do something with it. And I don't think it's going to go as well as it
I mean, my hot take on Steve Nash as a coach is that his primary strength is managing ego, right? Like, and he was hired on the team because he was Kevin Durant's guy in Golden State. No, but I would argue that maybe he has. I don't know if another coach does a better job with those personalities. Honestly,
I mean, it sucks because it's like the Nets are truly a bummer because it's just like, what even is this? It's like the best player in the game is trapped in this like, and kind of his own creation, but it was like in this this fucking like weird, chaotic, like tabloid story. More than they're not even a team. They're just KD. It's like a fucking cable drama show about. It's like Better Call KD. Like it's just like there's this lead character and just all this chaos is around him.
Better Call KD.
I am player empowerment forever. I think it's amazing, but like my caveat is sort of that like unless you're LeBron, you can't actually successfully assemble a whole team. Like the moment they pay,
and that's up in the air now.
Yeah, that's up in the air. Too.
Well, exactly like, but he's at least got a ring at every stop, sort of thing, and like Whereas KD, I think like one of the first things where I was like, was they're like, okay, we're kicking LeVert out. And also, we're going to pay DeAndre Jordan instead of Jared Allen. I was like, whoa.
That was insane.
This whole team, like everything you've built up, all the assets are just being discarded for not much. Well,
DeAndre Jordan has had an NBA career the last 4 or 5 seasons because he's just like really good friends with people.
Yeah, seriously.
Like honestly, like people just like him.
If they don't trade Jared Allen, they definitely win last year.
I mean, I also like the thing I've been waiting to say on a pod for such a long time is I totally get the KD toe on the line, but people got to give some respect to PJ Tucker for being in his grill to the point where he couldn't look down at his feet.
Freddie, you're always for the people. You're always a man for the people.
Shout out PJ Tucker for being there in the trenches and being like, KD, I'm annoying you to the point where you're not going to look down and see where you are.
That's a great point.
It's like a millimeter type scenario, but it's like if I'm PJ Tucker, I'm like, I'll take some credit for that.
Yeah, it's true. Like he threw him off enough. Like it's not like that KD usually does that. You know what I mean? Like everyone's like, oh, KD's got these big feet. It's like, well, he hits threes all the time.
And if that's why you didn't beat the Bucks, you lost by a hair, but you would have won by a hair.
I'm pretty sure like later that night, if I'm recalling this correctly, like Kevin Durant had a tweet or a statement or something along the lines of just like it wasn't in God's plan. Like that was his response. Cheers. Imagine Drake's replying to that and being like, actually, PJ Tucker had it.
It wasn't in PJ Tucker's plans.
Yeah, PJ Tucker's like, well, I'm the devil. PJ Tucker is now just the leprechaun.
But like no, from the horror movies? Like
exactly.
Jennifer Aniston?
And he probably has the outfit, so that really helps. He probably has the outfit.
This series is going to be great, though. Also, I should just say, first series for Ime Udoka.
Yes, it is.
He fucking. That's what a crazy reputation reversal.
Yeah.
So Foisy's got Celtics in 6. You've got Celtics in 7. Foisy's got Celtics in 7. Freddie, you've got Celtics in 6. I said Nets in 7. I don't feel good about it, but I feel like just to in the nature of being a Nets person, I'm just gonna be an antagonist.
Yeah.
And keep that pick for now. I'm not actually a Nets person. Okay, let's move on.
I'm actually changing it to Celtics in 6 as well.
Yeah, I could. I mean, I'm not confident, but I'm gonna stick with it. Okay. Bucks, Bulls.
Boring, let's go.
I have something controversial to say.
This is gonna be.
I think I might call a sweep here.
Oh yeah,
I'm calling a sweep. Bucks and 4.
Awful.
Yeah, this is the battle of like people driving through cornfields to see.
Yeah, is it like a 3-hour drive? Maybe like
it's pretty close. But people are gonna get lost because too many cornfields around here. Which way to the stadium?
Dairy farms.
This one's gonna be a bummer. This one's gonna be a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bulls are a bit weird to me because I feel like as the season it's sort of like the Bulls were like people were like, are they pretenders? Are they pretenders? And they stayed atop of the East for such a long time. Then they got a bunch of injuries. Yeah. Then they kind of fell apart and didn't fully recover. I'm such a like Bucks are like could win the championship person. So I'm leaning towards a Bucks sweep, but I think that Chicago does have some talent. And totally. I'm gonna go Bucks in 6, but it's because of like some wild Chicago heroics. Like it will be one of those series where you're like, huh? Like what was that series where the Cavs outscored the Raptors by 100? But it was the conference finals where they outscored us by 100, but it was still a 6-game series.
Oh,
like when the Cavs won, it was like 40-point blowouts, but when the Raptors won, it was like
I remember these amazing close games. Yeah.
Freddie, I blocked that out of my mind.
I remember.
I was there, game 6. We were all chanting, "Let's go Raptors!" And LeBron was like, "These fans." I killed them.
Well, that I'll never forget. That was
my
special.
city now.
But were you at the game? Wait, the game where we lost by, where that it was a complete blowout. Were you at that game?
I actually wasn't that bad of a blowout for that series. The game 6 was like they were just like up 9 the whole time.
Yeah.
But that blowout game I blocked out of my brain. It was
and we felt so good after tying it up after game 4. It felt like we had done it. We had done something.
Yeah, we had arrived. And then LeBron was like, that's weird. You'll never beat me again.
That's so good.
Yeah, I mean, the Cavs are okay. The Bulls. I can do this real quick. Is Lonzo the most injured player? Lonzo doesn't seem to get this rap Lonzo doesn't seem to get the rap that other people who don't stay on the court.
That's a good off-season countdown. Who's the most injured player?
But it's like
you
Lonzo's
got Kawhi,
always
you've got Michael Porter Jr. That's
what I mean. Anthony Davis has that reputation. Lonzo doesn't, but I'm like, Lonzo's fucking out all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like. Anyways, if they had Lonzo, I don't know. They just don't have anyone that can guard Giannis.
Oh, yeah. Matt Thomas is out, so they lost. But
Matt Thomas is out with feelings of feeling maudlin.
I mean, I think like a really underrated thing that people don't talk about is just the Orlando Magic winning the Vucevic trade. You know what I mean? Like that is something. I mean, because we're not talking about the Magic, but really, like
Wendell Clark Jr. is pretty.
They
good.
Won that trade.
Yeah.
They cashed in high. He was somehow an all-star. And they're rebuilding, and the future is probably going to look bright for them at some point. There's no confidence in a series with him against Giannis.
No.
Just none at all. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I feel bad for DeRozan because I feel like he in his career really needs a playoff moment where he can really show that he can be clutch in the playoffs. Like I know Freddie, that's a narrative that you really hate because people are probably too hard on DeRozan at this point in his career. But I feel like for him, like he really needs that moment. And I just don't know if this is the series he's going to get it.
No, he might get like one game.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think like it's like both things are true scenario where I think people are too hard on DeRozan, but I also don't think he's had like any major, signature playoff moments. But I also feel like with him playing like with Levine and Vucevic, it's like he's never had that before.
Yeah.
With the Raptors, he was 1A.
Yeah.
And in this scenario, he's like, it's like there's like a triple one or something. It's like Levine, DeRozan. It's like Levine and DeRozan are like tied kind of. And then Vucevic is right behind them. I think the Bulls just have like a pretty good team overall. It's sort of Billy Donovan's been good this year.
If Patrick Williams is good next season and healthy, and then Lonzo
he came back.
Yeah, he's back, but I don't know how how good he is. But a full season of Williams, and then if they get Lonzo, and then it's like, oh yeah, this team is pretty good. Like,
it's similar to the Cavs scenario. Like if they're healthy going into the playoffs, it's a completely different conversation.
Yeah.
But
we'll see DeRozan's signature playoff moment, the dunk on the Bucks to win that game.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
It was the I got us dunk.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I think it was on Antetokounmpo and Middleton, perhaps.
Yeah,
it was nasty.
It was really good.
That second weight gain, Giannis.
Yeah, totally. Giannis was like, "Let me just inhale another Giannis," and
that's why they have to
again.
That's why they have to keep one of the brothers around. That's why you always keep an emergency brother around, so you can just go, "I need you now."
Yeah,
mother would understand.
he's like that brother that's in the Raptors G League. No, he's not. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Sorry, the place for the 905, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Shout out to the 905. Anyway, have we made all our picks? I picked sweep.
We're there.
I said Bucks in 6, but it feels like a sweep.
Okay. All right.
That's a great call.
That's fun. Call. That's fun. Okay. Well, it's time to move on finally to our Raptors Homer moment. Let's do it. Woo. We've got Raptors. We've got Sixers. This is the series we wanted, right? Yeah. When we looked at the top 4 in the East, we were like, give us the Sixers, and we got it. And now we really got to show up. So as a lifelong Raptors fan, I will admit that I have some anxiety over suddenly not being an underdog. Like we're not underdogs in this series. Like everyone is predicting. No, everyone is predicting the Raptors are going to win this. Everyone is waiting for the 76ers to implode. Everyone except Shaq, but he only says that for attention. Okay, everybody needs to know that Shaq just says things for attention.
I know everyone's picking it, but I also still think we're the underdog. Like, if we lose,
anything to help my anxiety, I'll take it.
Because here's the thing: if we lose, there's not going to be any questions. There's not going to be any like, oh, do the Raptors have to do something differently?
Well,
it's just going to be like, yeah, we lost to Joel Embiid and James Harden.
But to me, that falls under expectations.
Yeah.
Versus like. Well, okay, I'm messing what I'm trying to say here.
I think Raptors fans did this thing where there's just like, I don't know what a good analogy for this is, but it's sort of like people doubted the team way more than they should have, and they doubted the process of this franchise more than they should have. And also we've arrived in such a like speedy.
Okay, but I think this is a two truths scenario.
Yeah,
I'm going to defend the Raptors fans for a second here who didn't think we would be this good. And I will defend this by saying this. In the very first game of the season, Masai Ujiri went on the broadcast and referred to this year as a rebuild. So Masai himself was actively trying to manage our expectations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, we really didn't get it going until I want to say like late December, January, and then post All-Star break, we hit another gear, especially with Precious Achiuwa. So, I mean, I can't hate on Raptors fans for not picking that we would be like 5th in the East at the beginning of the season. I thought we were maybe a play-in team, and we weren't far away from that being a reality. So, you know, I'm not gonna hate on some doubters, but I'm happy that people like yourself and people like our friend Matthew Brown, shout out, we're calling this from the very beginning. I very much appreciate that.
I'll say this though. I feel like part of me, like I said, the Raptors were going to finish 6th in the East, but a big part of that was I thought the East would be, you know, classically horrible. I didn't I didn't think that Chicago was going to be good and Cleveland was going to be good and Boston was going to have this like more miraculous turnaround than the Raptors. Like so much happened. But like, yeah, what I was sort of saying is I feel like the Raptors fans have like, it's like we all sped up and now we're in this like jacked up pace where we're like, Harden sucks. He was never good. And it's like, no, man, Harden's about to, like, I don't want to say Harden's going to go off on us, but I think that people have gotten to a point where they're not seeing how good Harden still is.
Well, this
or
is
what he's capable of.
And this is what I'm referring to. Sorry, Freddie, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I mean, like, I'll spoil my thing. I think Raptors in 6, but I don't think. Yeah, I feel like people are a little bit too low on the Sixers right now.
Yeah. This is what I mean when I refer to my old-timey anxiety with the Raptors, because I feel like a player like James Harden is hearing all this talk and he's just sitting in it for a whole week. And that could be enough to, as the cliche goes, poke the bear. It could be enough. And that's why I prefer us when we're an underdog. So us Raptor people are like, oh,
but I have like
the Sixers. But then once the American media catches on, then I'm like, oh, damn.
Well, that is true.
I'm not right for it.
That is true. Every time the American media likes our team, they fucking suck the next game. That is a guaranteed. Like anytime there's a week where the Raptors jump up in the power rankings and shit like that, they get smoked. But see, so I've had this has been the most beautiful Raptors season. It's been so good. One, because I started from the prime depths of hater hell. I was being a real bastard. I was like, I hopped on Confederacy and fucking said fire Nick Nurse immediately. I was like, I was one of those people. I was like, I'd take a look.
That's it. You were down on Nick Nurse.
Oh, I was down on everyone. I was
that's why we started talking about Daniel
Wiggins. I literally said that. I was like, I'd take a look at Wiseman and Wiggins. I was wrong about everything. And so now it's like, oh, I was so wrong. This team is fucking really good. And on top of that, we've already won 5th place. Like if we lose to the Sixers in the first round, I don't even care. I've never felt like this before. There's no.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
This is all gravy. This is great. Like it's a perfect matchup because it's like we can definitely beat them. But then if we lose, it's like, well, the Sixers were supposed to win the fucking championship. Like whatever.
Oh yeah, if we lose, it's like, oh no, Fred and Pascal are 29 in the prime of their careers.
And Scotty is only going to get better. Precious is only going to get better.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, everyone's under an extremely reasonable contract.
It's
damn
sick.
It. I think this is like there's like gravy, and then there's whatever this season is for the Raptors.
It's true. This is gravy with heroin in it. Like this is
100%.
This is good shit. It's so unlike every other Raptors season where there's these like, there was so much tension and like, oh god. But this was always like. It's been so enjoyable. And especially like, man, Pascal is fucking awesome. He's so good. He's so much better than he was like every other season. It's crazy.
You found it, man.
He's the best Pascal. It's like he's playing with a bunch of versions of himself on the court, but he's the best version of that.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. He's like
such a good way to say that.
Meet my friends. They're all 6'9". I dare you to fight all of us. I'm actually the best. And it's like, what is going on? This team's psycho. Like, I don't understand.
And he's so tough now. Like when he goes and he bangs in the paint, it's like he's not afraid anymore. He like gets the contact. It's like he fights through. Because I was watching that Cat game, and it was like how fucking rattled he got by the physicality. And then like that doesn't rattle Pascal at all anymore. He like relishes it. He's like, let's go. Like this is like awesome. Yeah, it's great. He's so patient with the ball. It's like I fully trust him.
He's really better for the adversity he's been through, isn't he?
Yeah,
at this point, and it's so great to see. Sorry, Freddie, you were saying.
I mean, I'm just like basically like agreeing that like this team is so tough. That my only fear is that I think there's some opportunity here for, I don't want to say like fans, but like sort of like the Raptors collective to have like the wrong persecution complex when the fouls don't go our way, and they won't. I think like, I really hope that like everyone's putting their energy into being like, Scotty, you're going to like, there's going to be 2 or 3 games. You're going to get 2 fouls in 5 seconds. That can't ruin the game for you.
Yeah.
You have to contribute still. And Siakam, you're going to foul out 4 games of the 6-game series.
Yeah.
That's okay. Play hard, whatever. Like, I think if, and from a rhythm perspective, if they're living at the line, that also means no fast breaks for us. I just see there's an opportunity for Raptors, the team to get totally just furious at foul calls. And I think that could be our potential undoing.
That's an interesting, that's a good call.
We're really young, you know.
I know there's like, some games where I'm like, can you just start Pascal with 5 fouls? Because it's like the way he plays defense when he has 5 fouls, it's like impeccable. It's like he's like so good. Like give Pascal 4 fouls at the start of the game. Because he's like,
I like it.
He's so good when he has like 4 fouls. Like he's full. He just chests like it's pretty nuts. But it's like, and then sometimes he takes like he's like always good for like 1 or 2. Like you're like, damn it, man, that one's a bad one.
I'm Jack for Fred too, because like the last time Fred played Philly, he got played off the court. Basically, it was like you're too small to play against these guys.
Yes,
and he's come so far, and I feel like he's so competitive that he's like, that will never happen again.
Yeah, so, that's true. We could
be curious to see what that looks like.
We could see some really nice Freddie games.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I'm gonna say this is really tough. I'm gonna say Raptors in 6, but it's like because a part of me wants to be like Raps in 7, but that's a game 7 on the road, and I'm like, not that they can't win a game 7 on the road, but it's just a lot harder to do. I mean, although way to be in the Philadelphia 76ers heads forever to win a game 7 on the road. We would just own them for life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can I just say, if we make it to game 7, someone, just for theatrics sake, needs to bring Vince Carter to the game and Kawhi to the game, sit them half court and have an empty seat in the middle and be like, MVP of this game, you sit in the middle of those two. Oh, wait, I guess it would be, Iverson. And sorry, Vince. No, it's Iverson for sure. It's Iverson and Kawhi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I never thought of that. I guess they are almost our rivals now.
This is like only 2 series against them. Both went to 7. Both went to a potential game winner,
and both like pretty historic game series. Yeah.
Well, what do we think? Do we think it's Raps in 6, Raps in 7? Do we think the Sixers are going to win it?
I mean, I'm going to say Raptors in 7.
I'm going Raptors in 6.
Raptors in 6. Raptors in 7. Part of that is fandom speaking, though.
Because you just want to see the game 7 on the road.
No, I just want the Raptors to win. I mean, I do think people are grossly underestimating the Sixers. I think it's going to be like, it's going to.
I mean, picking the Raptors is also in part picking that this team will fall apart. The 76ers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right? Like that's part of the pick is that you do not like it's not a judgment on their talent. It's a judgment on their chemistry.
My laundry, sorry. It wasn't time's up on the pod.
Oh my God, you're so funny. It's a judgment on their chemistry. Exactly. And a judgment on, and frankly on Harden. It's a guess that Harden isn't going to show up the way he once did. That's really what you're picking when you pick the Raptors. It's hard for me to pick against this team, so I'm just not going to do it. But I mean, if Harden is suddenly, Houston Rockets Harden, we're not going to win. Yeah. But I don't think he's given us enough reason to believe that that's who is going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think so too. And also just like the makeup of this Raptors team, it's like he's such like a mismatch hunter, and I mean you just you can't do that against this team. We're mismatch proof, basically.
That's true.
All right, guys. We've gone a bit long here, but this has been so much fun. Let's move on to our Nick Nurse Hottie Highlight of the week. And suddenly, out of the blue, Nick Nurse was trending this week as the Los Angeles Lakers decided to say that he was their first pick to replace Frank Vogel as head coach, despite the fact that Nick Nurse is on contract. And this had Twitter in a bit of a frenzy. I enjoyed this thoroughly. I'm gonna make the argument for why Nick Nurse would want to go to LA, and then I'm gonna make the argument for why I think Nick Nurse will stay. If you'll indulge me,
please indulge.
So, Nick Nurse, Clutch Sports client,
right?
So that's the sway. Also loves being a celebrity.
Yeah, he does.
Loves being a celebrity.
My God, does he?
Yeah.
And I think an opportunity for him to be in LA, I think he would want that opportunity. Not that he wouldn't necessarily want to coach that team as it stands, but I think the idea of him for him to be in LA is very intriguing. I think he would enjoy the spotlight. That's my argument for why he would want to go. I think he would want to stay is I think he's very invested in this Raptors team. He's coached Freddie and Siakam from the very beginning. I know him and Siakam had their troubles last season in Tampa, but I think they've obviously made up at this point. And I think there's a part of him that really wants to see this through. He has roots in Canada now. He coaches Team Canada. He's very ingrained in this whole system. So I don't see, and also, I don't see the Raptors letting him out of his contract first and foremost. But yeah, I think he stays. I don't think he tries to weasel out or wiggle out of being here by any means. But I think the idea of Nick Nurse being in LA in the future is not as far-fetched as Raptors fans may think it is, despite how poorly they treated Frank Vogel.
Cathryn, I love that take. You're very right. Nurse is probably dreaming about all the bands he could play with down in LA. He's like, oh my God, I might be able to join Fleetwood Mac straight up.
He might join the Chili Peppers.
Yeah, exactly. But can I add one thing to this rumor?
Yeah.
This Lakers team is one of the worst things that have ever happened to the NBA. It's fucking garbage. It's like a super drunk person who is already ruining your party and they still won't leave. It's like, will you go the fuck home? Mm-hmm. Get the fuck out of here. It's like everybody was just talking about this Lakers team and they sucked all year. They were never good. Meanwhile, the league is filled with all these amazing players, amazing teams. And every night you put on TV and it was a fucking Lakers. Like anytime I'm like, oh, sick, there's all these good games tonight. And then you turn on and it's fucking Lakers. And I'm like, God damn it. And then like, it's all like, oh, what are the Lakers going to do this offseason? It's like, and I get why. Obviously, they're like the most famous team. But it's just like so annoying to me where I'm like, it's like, get the fuck out of here. Just like seriously, go home. Like, when someone like a drunk person's wrecking your night, we're like,
I do.
Will you like fuck off?
I was at
Totally.
a house party and this guy spilled like red wine, and he was just he it was his time. He had to leave. He was already making a bit of a scene. He spilled this red wine, and then he felt so bad. He was trying to clean it up, but he physically could not. Like he could not clean the red wine. Like he couldn't do it. Yeah.
One time when I was going to Humber College, I threw a giant house party. It's the only like big party I've ever thrown in my life, a Halloween party. And I was like, let me just say, I was an impeccable looking prince. And I was like in full heels and shit. And this guy was being like absolutely reckless. And he was like one of the, from Kill Bill, like one of like the many guys that Uma Thurman has to kill,
like the kill crew or whatever.
Yeah, like he's one of those guys, and he had a real sword and was like starting to get weird. People were like, freaked out. So I literally, and I'm not strong at all. I literally just picked him up and put him on my shoulder and walked him out and like placed him outside of like my place, and then closed the door and locked it. And he pulled out the sword and started like swinging it around. And everyone like cheered, but I remember being like, I'm scared. You know what I mean? Like when people are like, "Oh, that was a cool thing you did," and I'm like, "I need some time because I'm rattled."
That's the Lakers too.
That's the Lakers. The guy with the katana sword. I do think that the Lakers like should win some kind of award, like most garbage team that's occupied the the greatest
like a Razzie.
Yes,
podcast analyst zone.
Yes.
Like they've been on so many podcasts for how kind of nothing they are. And
the amount of content about an 11th place team is crazy.
I mean, they were colossally disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
But
and that's really what it is.
And disappointing.
And it's LeBron James, and it's
But everyone knew they were going to suck.
Can I say about Nick Nurse? So I'm in the zone of like just feeling like a Raptors fan that's complimented. It's like, we had our Tampa year, but we're back to being such a good organization that people just are shouting us out for clout. Like they're just saying like, oh, what if like even earlier in the season when Siakam, when Raptors fans were lower on him, people were like, well, what about Wiggins for Siakam? And it was just like,
oh god,
it was insane.
Oh my god, yeah.
But that's just Golden State being like, how about you give us Siakam?
People were talking about trading James Wiseman for Siakam, and I was like, that doesn't even match up financially, let alone any other way.
And can I say, I do think that Nurse would have like that soul crushing, like he's been in Canada too long. He's gonna go to LA and be like, so I did this thing with Jason Priestley, and people are gonna be like, you know what happened to Serge when he came here? He didn't get a show. Okay,
you
know what I mean?
No, that's exactly it.
That's what's gonna happen.
Nurse will be like one of our comedy friends who's blowing up here. They're in every show, and then they're like, I'm gonna go make it work in LA. And it's like sometimes LA doesn't want you.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. I appreciate this take, but I think he would do well.
Nurse,
I do think Nurse is so good.
I think he'd do well.
Yeah, he would be.
He would have that thing where he's like, okay,
Adam McKay will cast him in something.
Nurse would be like, the first thing I need is complete control. And then the whole Lakers brass would be like, oh dear, you get no say around here, sir.
Yes, yeah.
Like you don't get to determine.
No,
anything.
and LeBron James is like a notorious coach killer. I think like post this LeBron era, whenever that is, I'm not claiming I know when that is, but post LeBron era, Nick Nurse's contract ending could be aligned, and they could want him to rebuild that team. And I think that, and then that for him would be an intriguing offer. I'm not claiming he takes it, but I'm just saying there's an appeal there.
It's perfectly timed for our new head coach, Kyle Lowry.
That would be good. Wow. Talk about heroin gravy.
Oh my god. All right. Well, we were trying to predict the next 2 weeks, but we predicted the next 5 years. And that's how it rolls on this podcast. Guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. This has been absolutely incredible. First round playoff preview. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of us listening and not watching on YouTube, let's start off with Jordan. Let us know what you're up to and where people can find you on the internets.
Just follow me at Jordan Foisy. Yeah. I don't have anything going on really.
Love it.
You're so cool. Come on. He does all sorts of
I got some shows and stuff coming up. You can find them on my Instagram.
Jordan's legitimately cool. Everyone follow him. Freddie, your podcast, Confederacy of Dunks, is now officially a part of the Raptors Republic family.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been so fun.
Very happy to have you here. For those listening, let us know where people can find you on the internets.
Follow me on Twitter, FreddieRivas. On Instagram, same name, but Noel is in the middle of the two. And check out my podcast on Raptors Republic. Check out me and Cathryn's podcast, the WNBA Pickup on the Sonar Network. Mm-hmm. And listen, if you want to come see Family Feud season 4, it's coming up, and we need a live audience, and it's hilarious, and I go nuts. And let's just say this:
when is the filming?
I'll be giving away socks. Okay.
When does the filming start?
Early August.
So for those who don't know, Freddie is the audience warm-up person for Family Feud Canada. So if you're in the audience for Family Feud Canada, they tape episodes here in Toronto. You'll see Freddie, and you'll see him making audiences laugh for hours on end. It's not an easy job, but you're killing it.
I'm gonna come, Freddie.
Koozies. I'll be giving those away. Okay. They're awesome. I swear. People go crazy for the socks.
I want a pair of socks. Can you hook us up with socks?
There's only 2 a show. You better show up. You better be loud.
There's only 2 pair a show, or 2 singles. You give them out one by one.
If you come, I'll hook you up with some socks. But if you're listening, you got to go crazy for those socks. Okay.
All right. Okay. I love it. Thank you guys so much. I've been your host, Cathryn. You can follow me at itsme_Cathryn, spelled CATHRYN. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.